Okay, today I'm going to be upgrading my gaming system here. I'm going to be removing the two GTX 580 classified Ultras and replacing them with GTX 670s. I am hoping for some substantial power savings and a little bit less heat. These 580s, while being awesome, they are loud and hot and they use a lot of power. So hopefully what I gain out of this is a little more power efficient of a system. So about the system anyway, we've got those two cards I mentioned, and I've got an H100. Underneath that is a 3930K at 4 gigahertz. I've got the RAM cooling fans here. Underneath are, on each side, are two sticks of 8 gigabyte G-Skill Sniper series, so that'd be 32 gigabytes total, which is a bit overkill, but it's kind of fun to play with the RAM drive option, so that's kind of fun. So anyway, that's a good look at the system here. Everything is, I mean, the operating system and the gaming is on SSDs, and I got storage hard drives and stuff like that, which don't really matter in this particular situation here, because this is just about graphics cards. So I'm going to run a few tests with the 580s, like some power consumption idle, power consumption while gaming, 3D Mark 11 and 3D Mark Vantage. I'll post those scores, then I'll do the upgrade and change out the cards, and then I will do those same tests again with the new GTX 670s that I have from Galaxy. Okay, so stay tuned. So I've got the case up on the bench, and we're starting the dismantling of it. Now, one thing I'm pretty stoked about is before I was running two power supplies, an 850 and a 1250. A little bit overkill, I know, but I had plans for a water cooling pump, and there's several fans. I've got 3 SSDs and 2 hard drives in here. You know, I just, and then of course the 580s took 2 8-pins and 1 6-pin. Well, you know, I just kind of felt better safe than sorry. I overpowered it. I had this from another system, so I just added the 1250 to it. And one of the things I think is cool is now I'm going to go with just a 1250 because the 670s do not take that much power. So I think that's kind of cool. I'm going to recoup this 850 here. So anyway, I'll keep tearing apart, and we'll stop every once in a while and show the progress. Okay, so now I've got both cards out, and we're ready to do some work. Obviously down there I'm going to have to repower everything I disconnected from that particular power supply that I pulled out. And then also too, I've got a little plug that I'll put in from Mountain Mods, and that plug will just go in right there to cover that hole. Yeah, so I can kind of spin this around a little bit. Show the back side while we're here. There we go. Yeah, so I'll plug that little hole, clean out my little dust filter there. And then also too, on the H100, I've got the fans that came with it, the R4s, and they pretty much suck. They're pretty loud, so I'm going to upgrade these to some Corsair SP 120s that I did a review of a while back. Well, maybe not a while back, maybe a week ago. So I'm going to upgrade these two to the static pressure fans from Corsair, and hopefully they're, well, they seem a little quiet in my testing anyway, so, because these here are just, you know, they're pretty loud. They move a lot of air, but they just don't do it very efficiently. So I'm also going to do that while I have the computer apart. Okay, so, and I think these fans that were already on there were about to fail anyway. I noticed there's oil buildup around the edges of the output, so on both of the fans, so I think they've already started losing some oil, and I don't know if that means they're about to fail or what, but definitely probably not a good sign to see that. So I'm kind of glad I got in to replace these fans, and maybe maybe it was a good idea to do it regardless of sound quality. Maybe these fans are just a piece of crap anyway. Alright, so all my power modifications are done. Everything is hooked up to the 1200. I've got some PCI Express cables routed to where they need to come up and out, and now it's time to remount the H100 on the side there. Okay, so the H100's in with the new fans, and then also let me adjust down here, we've got the plate in to cover the power supply hole there. So yeah, now it is time to pop in the graphics cards. So before I install the graphics cards, I wanted to do like a little comparison. This is what came out. You can see the sheer size of these compared to the new ones. So I mean, if you line it up, you drop in a little bit closer here, and you can tell that the 670s are a little bit shorter there, not a whole lot, and well, let's get it down to there. The height is a bit of a difference in the classified as well too. So there is the difference in the cards. As far as weight goes, yeah, the 580 is definitely a much heavier card. So that'll give a little comparison in the size of the cards. You know, the 580 to the next gen 670, which should be at least as powerful as these 580s that I had overclocked, but I'm expecting to actually see a pretty good performance boost with the Kepler architecture. Right off the bat, I like the color scheme. Not super crazy about the blue down here, but this silver, or the aluminum, it almost matches the Zalman RAM coolers there. But so far, I do kind of like the color scheme in there. And there's another shot of the single card. Let's see if we get the light a little bit better. Yeah, there we go. There's another shot of the single card in, and now we'll go for the next card. Okay, both cards are in. Got the bridge cable there for SLI. I am a little concerned here between the sound card and this video card, the bottom one. The one fan is here. I mean, it's not going to hit the sound card, but more than 50% of the fan is blocked, and then we have these front panel audio connector and these connectors down here for the you know, the on-off switch and front panel USB. I've always had this little fan, this, you know, aimable fan, you know, to cool the sound card from the heat from those GTX 580s. Let's see, this one here will you know, do a little bit better job of cooling the sound card, just because it's going to be intaking air right in front of it. So I may not need this anymore, but I think I'm going to keep it here just to help direct a little bit of cooler air to this particular area where more than half that fan is blocked anyway. If I can just keep some cool air passing through here, which I think I'll just repoint this, you know, something like that, just to kind of help that video card a hair from overheating. Not that I think it will, but you never know. So anyway, I've got it pretty well the way I want it, so I'm going to do a test boot and make sure that everything is a-okay, and I didn't forget to hook up SSDs or the hard drives or something. You just never know. So yeah, I'll do a test boot and we'll see what happens. Okay, so it fired up just fine, and you'll notice there the little GTX 600 series kind of glows and comes on and off, kind of. That's a little interesting. I'm not sure why, but it's kind of catchy. So we've got it up and running. Now I'm going to go back and we'll do some comparisons on power consumption and 3D Mark 11 and 3D Mark Vantage. Okay, so now we're doing the idle test of the GTX 670s and SLI, and we're sitting at 170 watts, pretty good. It's about 30 to 40 watts lower than the 580 combination, so I would say that's pretty significant to drop 30 or 40 watts. I know part of it is losing that second power supply, even though it you lose some efficiency with that other power supply, so that was probably losing some energy that was getting converted to heat. But yeah, so far in the upgrade, I'm down 30 to 40 watts at idle, so I'm pretty stoked about that. And let's see what it does in like a gaming load. Okay, so in a gaming load, first of all, I notice it's significantly quieter. Significantly. I can't even hear the fans on the GPUs over the fans on the system. So that right there is incredible. And the other incredible thing is we're somewhere between 250 to 300 watts less power consumption, which is awesome. I mean, that is a ton, and that's probably why it's significantly quieter. I'm doing a 3D Mark 11 on an X score to push the GPUs to their maximum, and we almost saw 600 watts there, which is still 250 watts or so better than the 580s in SLI. So now let's do a 3D Mark 11 score and see if it scores better than the 580s. Okay, so there's the results from 3D Mark Vantage. P-score 47,335, which is 3,072 points better, or a 6.5% increase. So we're seeing a 6.5% increase from a highly overclocked, well, I guess not really highly overclocked, GTX 580. It was running at 900 megahertz. So, we see a huge power decrease to get 6.5% more of a score. So now let's see if the same can be said about 3D Mark 11. Okay, so now 3D Mark 11 had a much more significant increase. The P-score went up 2,845 points, which is a 17.5% increase. And the graphics score, just for shits and giggles, I tested that, or I compared that, went up 4,764 points, which is a 25.4% increase. So this GTX 670 combo really handles the DirectX 11 a lot better than the 580. Kepler must be just much better architecture for handling that. And the temperatures, the temperatures didn't hardly go up that much. I mean, I think they got to 50 something degrees. The fans spun up a little bit, but they didn't spin up nearly as much. So this thing is super efficient at what it's doing too. I am totally amazed. So that wraps up the 3D Mark 11, and now let's do a recap of the whole event. Okay, so to kind of wrap this up, I mean, if there was ever a contest here between the two of these, the 670 is just an ass kicker. I'm glad I didn't go with the 680 for cost reasons. I went with the 670, but I am very, very happy with the 670. Not to say that these 580s are bad. I mean, there's a hell of a lot more I could go with them if I went into overclocking. You know what I mean? I could boost them. I have water blocks for them. I could put the water block on and run the radiator. And I could probably get where I could beat out the 670 no problem. But the Kepler architecture is just incredible for using that much less power, less noise, a smaller card, PCB wise. This is really a hell of an upgrade, I think. You know, it's hard to justify an upgrade from the 500 series to the 600 series. I've always thought that you skip and you do like every other, but where I was looking more for power consumption is why I upgraded. I really did upgrade for performance, just power consumption. So, I mean, that being said, I did get my power savings, which is significant. I got noise reduction. I got improved DirectX 11 performance. I got improved performance as far as what 3D Mark Vantage tests. I'm sure that my CPU didn't get any faster. Obviously, I'm guessing, you know, all of my improvements in every score and frame rates and anything else that I may see are definitely attributed to these graphics cards. So, you know, I highly recommend these cards. I did go with the 4 GB version just because I wanted some future proofing, I guess is kind of the word. I mean, that's a hard word to say in computers, but you know, in Skyrim, for example, there were times I was filling up 2 gigs of the 3 gig in the 580s, so I just figured, you know what, why limit myself with 2 gigs if I'm running Skyrim at 1080p? What if I decide to run Skyrim at like 2560 by 1600 or something? Then I would be unimpressed by their performance with 2 gigs. So to wrap it all up, the 670 is awesome. Incredible card, power efficient, super fast, super quiet. I'm glad I did it. I am sorry to lose the classifieds, but I can probably, you know, sell them and make some of my money back. But yeah, pretty freaking awesome, and I absolutely love these 670s. Okay, that's all. And, you know, as always, I appreciate everybody watching. Thank you.